Hello, everybody. Welcome to Plottr 101. We will get started in about 30 seconds. Give people time to log on. In the meantime, welcome to Plottr 101, where we're going to learn some more general things, but also some pretty advanced things. And that's because I want everybody to have lots of takeaways. It's going to go really, really fast, this class. And that's because I'm just going to be throwing so much at you. So because of that, I'm suggesting you don't take notes. That's right, don't take any notes. Just kind of sit back, take a deep breath, and try to understand Plottr from, say, a more intuitive kind of viewpoint. Because if you do that, I think you're going to start to see the magic of Plottr and that it's not so scary as you think, because so many of the different areas of Plottr have commonalities, and it will make it very easy for you to learn. Another piece of advice I have for you is to go over to plottr.com, maybe download one of those cool demos. We have so many. Download it to your Plottr if you have Plottr already, and then use that. It's already all filled out. So use that to apply the things that I'm going to be teaching you. Now, at the end of this class, we are going to get, all of you are going to get a YouTube live link, and then you can take your time going over it. And I think you'll find that it's easier that way. So that's a good methodology for this. Yeah, Catherine, so does both my daughters. I know exactly what you mean. Plottr will keep you more organized. You have to motivate to do it. That's the hard thing I find often with ADHD people. It's hard to motivate, right? To stay on track. Now, Plottr is a great tool for doing that because once it's in there, it's done. You don't have to remember it. You don't have to think about it again. And then when you're writing, it's right there for you. It couldn't be easier. It really helps me too, because I think there's commonalities among us all, whether we have ADHD diagnosed or not. But one of the cool commonalities is that it keeps us all, when we wake up in the morning and we're writing and we see Plottr and we can look at it and we can see exactly where we are in the story and what our intention is, it makes it so much easier to get over that hurdle of sitting down and actually starting to write at the beginning of the day. Okay, so I also will take all questions at about 10 minutes before we end, just if it's Plottr related, just because it's probably going to be covered in this class, hopefully. All right, so let's take a look at this. Let's jump right in, shall we? So I'm going to be sharing a screen with you, and this is your dashboard. Okay, give it 1 second here. Here we go. This is your dashboard, and this is the thing that pops up on your screen when you first log into Plottr. It hosts every single project you've ever worked on in one place. Now, Plottr always has more than one way to do things. This is a little secret. So another way that you can go into your project is simply through the project button. When you open up Plottr, you will see the project button. We'll talk about that today. That will just open up to your project you're working on right now. But this opens up to everything to make it pretty easy for you. So today we're going to be working on a book we're going to write together. And this book is about cowboys that go west and then decide that maybe they should keep heading toward gold country. It's a good plot, right? I'm going with it today. So that's the next one down. I think it's 2 down, called Westward and Onward. Rather proud of that title. Okay, and these other ones are all projects that I have done myself, or I'm working with some students and I have Plottr Pro, and so we can share our projects with each other, and so they have shared their projects with me. So the difference real quickly between Plottr and Plottr Pro, from those of you who are curious, is Plottr is generally for people that are working on their own. They don't really have a desire to collaborate, or they don't need to share it with anybody. Also, Plottr backs up to your actual hard drive, so it does take up space on your hard drive, whereas Plottr Pro backs up to the cloud and it's Plottr's cloud. So everything gets backed up there. And by the way, you can go into the settings and have it also do it to your computer if you want both. Up to you. So, and of course, collaboration is the main thing. It's really easy to collaborate with someone else and share documents and comment on them when you have Plottr Pro. Okay, so back to this. If we were to start a brand new project, we would simply click on Create Blank Project. Makes sense, right? Up pops a little thing, we name it, and there it is. It automatically appears right there. Now, I'm not going to do that because, like I said, I've already done that. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to leave this and I'm going to pull up what a new project looks like. So this is what our project looks like. It's really exciting. Let's look. Okay, not that exciting. We haven't done anything yet, but it will be exciting at some point. So what do we have here? Well, if you just look at the screen, you'll see that above chapter 1 is the word default, right? This is the default structure that Plottr has at the very top. Let's take a look at this. If we wanted to keep this default structure, there's no problem. It's great. It's all a lot of people need. So what you could do is you could either click on this blue plus to add additional chapters, but you might also notice that while you're hovering over it, this little black plus comes up. It's just another way to do the same thing. And we can add chapters indefinitely. This line, which is default called the main plot line, is where our scene cards will go. So all of our scene cards that are under chapter 1 will fall here, all under chapter 2, and so on. Now that we've said that, I want to teach you something a little bit better, I think. And it's called the 3-act structure. Now, this is something you only want to set up at the very beginning of your project, not once you have everything all your scene cards down and everything, because then it just gets messy. So only do it at the very beginning. But what we're going to do is we're going to create the structure. So we're going to go right above chapter 4 to the word structure. See that? And you can think of structure as the brains of the project. That means anything you change in this structure command, it will change it all the way across on your timeline, which is this page. So let's look at it. So what it's telling me is, lo and behold, what a shock, we're in default mode and we have one level. That level is called chapters, right? So we know that already. So let's add additional levels. Next to 1, you'll see there's a plus. This is part of what I'm talking about when I say intuitive. Everything is right in front of your face. You don't have to memorize stuff, which personally I really appreciate. So let's go and do plus. Now we have 2 levels. And now those levels are called chapter and scene. We do 3 levels. We have acts, chapters, and scenes. 3 acts structure is as many as we can do. Okay, this is also, you might notice, where you change the way you want your entire timeline to look. You want your text colors to look, your border colors, your background colors. And if you decide to get rid of a level, you got to come back to the brains timeline and delete it here using this negative sign. If I were to hit it, one of these would go away. But we're going to do a 3-act structure, so I want to keep it up right now. By the way, if I decide, let me close it and show it to you. Okay, you see how this is like in a horizontal setup? So what this is telling me is that this is Act 1 and this is Chapter 1. And this is Scene 1 in Chapter 1. And this is where your scene card would go. And this is where scene card 2 that might show up in Chapter 1 would go. The thing about this is it's horizontal, and a lot of people like that. But for me, by the time I get to scene 60 or 70, I'm kind of scrolling over kind of a lot every time, and I don't want that. So I'm going to make it more vertical so it's easier for me to see everything. Plus, it just works visually for me. So how am I going to do that? Well, I'm going to have to go in and change this default mode. Default is the horizontal mode. So I'm going to go in. I have 3 choices. One of them is tabbed, and tabbed is something that you really, I would suggest it mostly for people that are, say, they've uploaded a fully formed project or with a whole bunch of beats. Maybe they're collaborating with someone, or they had an old project they used to have on Plottr and then I don't know, for whatever reason, they need to upload it again. So in that situation, if you hit Tab and you click these pluses, this is Act 1, Act 2, Act 3. This is exactly the same. The only difference is that if you imagine this is completely full, miles long with scene cards, you can jump around real fast to these during revision. My favorite is stacked. That's the third choice. And as you can see here, stacked mainly just puts one thing on top of the other. So now we can see easily Act 1 has 1 chapter in it, and right now has 4 scenes. What if we want to add additional chapters? That's right, just hover over it. There's a little black box. Let's click on it. Now we have 2 chapters. If we want to get rid of one of the scenes, scene 5, we can go up and delete it, and it can go away. Let's say we want to take chapter 2 and move it into Act 2. We can simply hold it down, bring it up here, and drop it. And there it goes into Act 2 right there. See? And I can do additional chapters that way. So these are the ways that you can move it around. And of course, scene 4, if you drag up to chapter 2, it will drop it in chapter 2 and Act 2. So once this is done, and literally this will take you 30 seconds maximum to do. I'm just really slowing it down to show you these things. Okay, so once this is done and we've set it up and it's pretty much the way we like it, I just want to show you a few little tweaks. This third level, it's interesting. This third level, I would recommend to you if you are bringing your own template to Plottr. Say there's something, a template that you love that's not on Plottr, okay? The first thing you can know is if you want to change these names, you can. So if you want to change all the scenes to say the word beat, you have to go back up to the structure, simply click on scene and call it beats. And then you see they're all called beats. Now, if you want to name these beats individual plot beats, which would make sense if you're doing your own template, you just hover over the individual ones. Beat 1, you see how this pops up? We're going to go to edit and we're going to call it setup. And beat 2, we're going to go in and we're going to call it catalyst. And beat 3, we're going to call debate, and so on. This way, any scenes that show up right here appears in Act 1, appears in Chapter 1, appears in the setup beat, and anything here belongs to the catalyst beat. Now, a setup beat typically, not always, but typically has more than one scene in it. So if we go here, we might add a scene, and we'll put it right there, scene 1. And then if you hover over scene 1, you see this little blue plus pops up. That would be where scene 2 goes. And I would name them so that when you glance at it, you know what it is. Okay, and you can do that indefinitely. You can have 75 scenes in the setup beat, though don't recommend it. All right. So that is how that works. Now, one thing I want to tell you for sure is that you can remember, like if you think about the olden days, when we would go to Office Depot and buy topic cards and do our beats and spread them all over the bedroom floor, inevitably the dog would walk in and kick it under the bed where it would become covered in dust bunnies. Well, this is so much easier. Everything is right in front of your face. If you're a visual person, this is going to be your jam. Okay, but we can drag these anywhere the same way we could if they were spread all over our floor. So if I want to make scene 2 in the debate beat, all I got to do is hold it down and drop it. It's that simple. I can do it, take it back too. I can even change the order of them. Really easy to do. Okay, now in what situation wouldn't you need this third level? Well, I told you you might want it if you have your own template. But if you're like many of us, you want to use one of Plottr's many templates, and you don't need that. So in that case, you might only have 2 levels. All right. How do we add a template? Let me make this a little bit longer. Okay, right down here. You see how it says main plot? Below it, it says use template and plus. You have to go down there to see it. And if we do a plus, it's going to add a new plot line on the timeline, which we'll get to in a second, but we're going to talk about use template. So let's click on use template. So here we have a whole bunch of Plottr starter templates. There's one for any kind of story you can imagine. Romancing the beat. I mean, really. All kinds of cool ones here. Hero's journey. You're writing the next Indiana Jones. Heroine's journey. Horror beat sheet. So there's so many here that if you play around with these and look at them, you probably can find one that suits your novel. In our case, I would say we might want to look at the action adventure plot. Let's take a look and see. If you click on it once, it tells you exactly what it is, so you can see if that interests you. So here we have a damsel, a henchman, and a villain. I mean, this sounds pretty good for our novel, frankly. But if I'm not really sure, or I never even heard of this before, I can go up and click on this eye and it will take me out of Plottr and give me some information about this particular genre and template. So, but I don't need to, because there's no downside to choosing it. You can delete it later. So I'm going to choose it. So let's choose. And it's asking me which level that I want it in. That's only because we did the 3-act structure. And I'm going to do beat there. And here it is. This is our template. Each one of these boxes represents a beat. The first box, Hero's Circumstance, is directed toward our type of novel, but of course it's essentially the setup beat because you can't get around the setup beat. It's a setup beat no matter what genre you're in. So let's go in there and take a look. Let's open it up by clicking into it. I know, Catherine, but your life's about to change. It's about to get better. I promise. Okay, so here we have the beginning of Act 1. We see sort of what this beat is about, more or less. Happy, is your character happy or displeased in their ordinary world? And what's their flaws, their unique personality? All these typical setup things are in here. If you keep scrolling down, you'll see the breakdown. And the breakdown also includes the second one. I want you to look at that. The hero's circumstance should comprise approximately 8 to 10% of the story. Now, you can't know that until you're done with your first draft. But let's say you have your first draft in front of you. And you go in and you read through the setup beat and you get to the catalyst beat. And so you can tell that your setup beat is 10 pages. Okay? It's 10 pages. And your whole book is 100 pages, let's say. 10 is 10%, so it's on target. But if you are on page 25 and you're still working out the setup details, that's an instant red flag that Plottr's alerting you to that something's wrong with your pacing. You're probably going to have to cut some of that back and make that catalyst come earlier because that's what readers are expecting. This isn't all meant to be super formulaic. You totally can adjust it. You can break the rules once you know the rules. That's my rule. You have to know the rule to break it. You can do all those things. You can do whatever you want. It's your book. But this gives you a general idea of story structure that goes back. It's been discussed for so long that there's a lot of truth to it of what people will expect that will keep them engaged in your story. You see at the top how it says, add your details above this line. We've had people in the past tell us that they actually try to write their book here or write their scenes here. Please don't do that because it's hidden within the template. That's what that line at the top is for, because you can see everything right in front of your face. Don't hide it in here. So what is this for? Well, this is for if you decide to change up this template in any way. If you don't, that's cool. You don't have to. But let's say you get a book called How to Write the Best-Selling Cowboy Novel. And let's say in that book, it says all heroines should be named LB if you want to be a success. That sounds reasonable to me. So we simply go in and click. It's totally editable, not editable. It's not really editable. We have not figured out how to make Plottr editable just yet, but we do know how to make it editable. So all heroines should be named LB. Great. Fantastic. I'm going to take it out so I don't forget to take it out in the future. Okay, let's say that we change all of these up. We've read our book. We've put in all our cool ones. This is now our template, even more than it was Plottr's. Plottr gave us a leg up, but we've made it better. How can we save it? Because the next time you go into your dashboard and you go and you pull up a brand new project and you say, I want to use that one I changed up, and you put it in there, it will default back to the template. So we want to save it so that we can use it forevermore. How do we do that? Well, if we hover over Action Adventure Plot, a whole bunch of icons come up. These icons come up here too, same icons. So what do? Well, they allow you to change the name. If you want to call it Maya Action Adventure Plot, you can. It allows you to change the color. So like, for example, I love hot pink. Look how cool that is. And you can also do some other cool things with it. For example, see how these scenes are? Imagine that there are like 6 scenes here. If we're moving on to the Calliope and we don't want to see it so stretched out because we're done with that part, we could simply go in and go over here to these arrows pointing to each other, which means condense, and even tells you collapse, stack. It just tucks it behind it so that it's out of our sight. And when we want it back, we can click on it again and it comes right back. But going back down here. So this is I'm going to show you this in just 1 second, I promise, but I've got to do this in a logical order. So I want to show you, let's put this to the side for 1 second. I want to show you the neighbor next door project. Project, again, is another way for you to enter your project. It's the current one you're working on, and it's super cute. Look at that. You can go up here and you can change the title if you want. You can duplicate it, which I'll show you in a minute. And you can even choose an image and make it look like a real book. And I think these psychological tricks really work for me. I know what you're thinking, though. You're probably thinking, okay, I see the word series, and you're getting ahead of yourself a little bit, and you're thinking, I bet you click the plus to put additional series books. And you would be right, except for one tiny thing. Let me show you what I mean. If I click on this, it's going to say, what do I want to name it? And I want to call it Main Plot, let's say. This is book 2 in my series. But the thing about Plottr that's so cool, one of the things, I mean, there's more than one thing, is that when you're creating characters or place cards or whatever you're creating for Westward and Onward, you can choose to share that with your series placeholder books. It doesn't matter if you don't know what your series placeholder books are. If you're going to be writing a series, if there's even a chance in your lifetime, pay attention to this. It doesn't matter if you don't know, because as you go along, you know how it works. You're going to be working on Westward and Onward, and you're going to get ideas for those future books. And you're going to be like, oh, well, of course, Kathy is going to be in this one too. So I want to share it so that when I go and actually open that book 2 years down the road, I will see Kathy's character card waiting for me there, which is a really great thing because all the relevant character cards and research cards will be there waiting for you. So how do we do that? Well, as you know, we just use that plus to create this. The only problem here is that works if you're in default mode and you didn't change anything with the initial structure, but we did. We added some special coding. This part up at the top here is, it added a whole bunch of beats while I was playing around. Okay, where is it? Okay, this part up here at the top is your 3-act structure, right? So let's go back to project. And what we want to do here is carry that over to this book too, because we need to have the structure be in each of the series books, the same structure. Because if we don't have the same structure, we can't share. All that will happen when you try to share is it'll say you don't have the same structure and you'll have to go in and add it into main plot. But I don't want you to do that. I just save you time. All you got to simply do is duplicate, because duplicate takes the coding with it. So let's try that. There, we duplicated it. We're going to call it Series Book 2. We're going to save it. Let's open up Series Book 2. Okay. And you see there's our structure at the top, which we didn't finish, but you get the idea. So now what that means is when we're in project, I can share anything with this one, but it won't let me share it with that until I fix that little issue. Okay, let's go into this one that doesn't have that structure. Oh yeah, guys, I just want to tell you, just hold off on your questions. until the last 10 minutes. Maybe just jot them down on a piece of paper, just because I'll go back and try to find them all, but sometimes they can get lost, and I don't want to lose your questions, in the chat. So yeah. Okay, so let's go into this main plot that does not have that structure. Okay. Of course, down here, I told you how you could add the template, right? Or you can add a plot line. So now that I've told you that, let's go back. Let's go into Westward and Onward. We're going to return now to how to customize the template. And this is one of the more advanced things. So I'm going to try really to choose my words carefully so it's clear. But remember, you're going to get that YouTube link and you can play it back. We've changed all this, right? It's exactly the way we want it. So what we can do is we can go into project and we can create a new book. Let's say, what will we call it? Let's see, we'll just duplicate it. We could do it a million different ways. Here, let me go open this up. There we go, so you can see it. Sometimes you can't see things on the screen. I'm sorry, it's confusing. Okay, so I'm going to call this template. It's an empty thing, except for the default template. I'm going to go in. I'm going to delete the default template. I'm going to delete all these little tiny pieces. Now it's just a blank screen. Okay, let's go back to project. Let's go back to Westward Onward. Let's go back to stacked because it went back. Sometimes I play with this so much that it thinks that I want to do something else because I've been playing with it. So I just have to fix it. Okay, so here we are. And what I want to do is duplicate this template that I've created. So I'm going to go down and simply duplicate it. Now there's going to be two. Let's go down here and go all the way over here to the right. And if you hover over it, it tells you, you don't have to memorize it, move plot line. So we're going to move plot line. Now, typically we would be able to move it to that book that I just created, but it's not going to allow me to because I didn't create the same structure in all of them because I'm trying to show you guys several different things at once. But normally you would have created the same structure and it would go there. So what would happen here is it would completely disappear. And then when you went over to project and you opened this up, template, it would be there waiting for you. Let's pretend it's waiting for us, okay? So what we would do then is just go up to these three little dots. I'm hoping you're on the same screen as me. Good. Go up to these three little dots and click on it and save as template. Name it whatever you want. Forevermore, when you go to, let's go back here. Forevermore, when you go into dashboard and create from template, or you go here and you add a template, this is what's going to happen. In addition to the starter templates that Plottr has given you, your personal customizable ones will be up here. So you see, I have some that I've created. I used Plottr's to start it off, and then I changed it all up and made it lots of detail and stuff that I really like. And if I click on I start any new project, this is going to be there for me so I can use it. So that's how you customize a template. All right, another thing is we're going to add plot lines. So let's do that. If we go down here and we go over here to this plus, we're going to add plot lines. And plot lines on this page called a timeline. What are they for? They're very flexible, and you will find out on your own what your style is for what you like to do and don't do. So I'm just going to show you some of the more common uses of it that I use it for. So I often write multiple point of view stories. I'm working on one right now, as a matter of fact. So I'm going to do a plot line for each character. This can be used one of two ways that pop into my mind. One is you could put the beats of the actual, what the character is in, because you're doing multiple viewpoints. So you might want to track those beats for the character. Another thing you might do, which I use more commonly, is for tracking character development. Okay, so we need some characters for Westward and Onward, and I'm thinking it's going to be Catherine. And who else should be? Tom. Yeah, Tom, you're now in my book. You guys are both in my book. Okay, there you guys are. All right, how do we track your character arc? It's so easy. Now we need character arcs for our characters in general, right? So Catherine, might start out greedy. Sorry, Catherine. It's the start of the book. And then maybe in the debate beat, her horse dies. She gets empathy. Okay. Maybe in beat 5, something else happens. Maybe in beat 10, something else happens. Okay. I can make sure that Catherine's growth as a character is gradual and logical. I don't make her go from greedy to generous without adequate transition scenes. It's really easy to see as you're working along because you're working on your scene card up here and you say, oh, her horse dies. That's a good opportunity for me to move her forward in her growth to empathy. I'll go down here and quickly add this. Right? Cool. Same goes with Tom. I can track his. Another thing I might do here is calendaring. Okay, I learned this the hard way that I need to do this. The way I learned it was I wrote an entire teen novel, League of Strays, and in the entire teen novel, I was writing random timestamps, like 2 weeks later, last Wednesday, the next day, and I wasn't really thinking it through. I was just trying to get my draft out. And when I turned it in to the editor said, could you go through and calendar this, make sure everything is the correct day you want it to be? And I thought, what a waste of time. I mean, really, it took me a really long time to do this. Ridiculous. So I went back and I said, okay, this is scene 1. Scene 1 takes place on July 12th, Thursday, et cetera, okay? Maybe I'd even put the time. Okay, why do I do that? Because if I go in here and I can also change it up here, Wednesday. Okay, Wednesday. Okay, so if I had done that while I was setting up my plot and writing my book as I went along, I would not have needed to go back and do this immense and annoying revision. Why was it immense and annoying? Because, well, first off, I discovered that my characters were going to school on a Sunday several times in the book. And they had a big, huge Christmas party with no sign of family or the holiday, because I didn't know it was Christmas when I wrote it, even though logically it was Christmas. So that was a big deal because I didn't just have to change those scenes. I had to go through and find every single timestamp in the story and line them all up correctly. So that will save you a lot of time. If you're writing a mystery novel, maybe you do clues. How cool is that, right? Catalyst. Gun found in armoire. And this way you can make sure you're even-handed with your clues. You're not missing any clues. You don't have a clue in the beginning and then not again till chapter 30. Yeah, it's a really great way to do it. Okay, I got a tip for Catherine here because Catherine probably experiences this. So, and I know I do. When I'm writing, sometimes my brain is just so stuck on my regular to-do list, and I keep interrupting my writing to go deal with stuff. And I'm like, I can't keep doing that because then I forget about my book and I don't come back. This might sound familiar to a few of you. So what I do when I'm in that kind of a mood is I simply add a plot line and it's my to-do list. You know why? Because while I'm working on this, if I think of something, I can simply just write here, buy coconut milk. All right. And I don't have to think about, oh, I should go write that down on the list on my fridge right now and get sidetracked. So this really helps me keep my you-know-what in the chair. So anyway, the point is these plot lines are fabulous and can be used for all sorts of creative things. And over time, you will see what those things are that best suits you. Okay. Phew. All right. What else do I want to show you? Okay. Let's go into the scene 1. And this is what the scene card looks like when we open it up. You see we're automatically in description, right? And this is where we can put the description of what we think our scene will be. Now, if you are what is typically referred to as, say, a pantster, you write by the seat of your pants, and you prefer to discover the story as you go along a little more, this might be all you have. This might be one sentence, might be all you have, but it's still going to be lined up with proper plot beats. It's still going to progress the story. You're still going to see a lot of stuff. It's going to keep you on track while you're writing. If you are more of a plotter like me, this might be 2 pages long. Yeah, it's true. Mine are pretty detailed, but it really helps me because I have many less drafts, a lot less revision to do. But that's me. Everybody is completely different. It will work for whomever you are. Is it whoever, whomever? Still don't know that. I should really learn it. Okay, so now you see here is all the cool things you can do to make it look nice with fonts. You can do even links if you want to link something, or pictures if you want to add a picture. You can do whatever you want. Let's look at the left-hand side. You see how it says book westward and onward? Well, if we click on this, it gives us our other bunch of books that we can click on that have the same structure. And we could click on that and go over there. This would be in the situation that, let's say I write this scene and then I decide, you know, it's better for series book 2 than the first one. So I go and click on that. It will automatically take it off my timeline here and move it over to that book. So when I open up that book, it'll be there waiting. This one allows you to go down to the different various plot lines you have. So let's say that I wrote a scene 1, but instead of a scene, I actually started writing all about, you know, not about what happened with Catherine's horse dying, but instead about how she felt about it and all that. And I decided, you know what, that's actually sounds like a character arc card. Of course, I can go back to timeline and simply drag it down, but I could also go here, click on Catherine. It will disappear from here and it will appear on her plot line. Characters, we have to put in characters and places and all these things to use this, and we will learn that in a second. But if you click on this plus, any character you put into the character area will pull up here, and you could assign characters to this scene. So I might say this is a scene, it has Catherine and it has her horse. Okay. Places, same thing. Maybe I say this takes place in a farm in Granada, Spain. And these we'll get to a little bit later, but we can also, tags I'll show you in a little bit. All right, let's move on. I want to show you this, attributes and add template. But I'm going to close this down. And this is what I'm going to do. I am going to not show you this anymore. I'm going to remove it. And I'm going to show you one of our cool demos that's already all filled out. This one is called, give me 1 second. I'm going to actually choose it. There we go. Now it should pop up here. Demo, 3 pigs. Okay. I'm going to share it with you and it should show up any second. Okay. So this is one of our demos, although I've changed it a few times, so it looks a little different on the site. Here we have a really cool story. And if you don't know it, you should read it because it's completely compelling. So let's take a look at it. Let's go into the first scene card. The pigs build themselves a home. And we have a bit of a pantster here. He used the bullet points right here. You see, there he added the characters. He's added them already in the character area. And so this tells us that pig 1, 2, 3, and mother pig are all in this scene, and it takes place at mother's house. Don't worry, we'll get to tags. Okay, let's go up though to this part. This is what I want to show you, attributes. So attributes are anything that you feel is important to ask yourself for every single scene card. So let's look at it. Let's click on it. These ones, weather, point of view, and time of day, for whatever reason, is what the author wanted to ask himself for every scene card. You want to add more, do your own. I recommend doing your own because these are not very good. Go over here to the right and click on configure, and you can add whatever you want. As an example, I often do reader's emotion. What does that mean? Well, you know, I've discovered that my scenes, when I write them, tend to be all over the map emotionally. And I don't really, for some reason, I discovered somewhere along the way that when I know what I want the reader to feel when they're reading a scene, it comes out so much more focused. So for reader's emotion, I see here, feel sorry for the protagonist. That may be what I want them to feel. That's going to affect how I write the scene. Yeah. If I decide, I don't need reader's emotion, I don't really want this, I can simply go over here and delete it. Goes away. So there's no harm in it. Go back to description, attributes, there they are. And every single scene card, if you click on attributes, they'll be there. What is a template? Well, sounds familiar and it looks familiar, right? But these are not templates for your timeline. Though that template was for the beats, right? This is ones to help you figure out how to write your scene. So templates show up 3 times in Plottr. They show up on the timeline, they show up here on the scenes, and they show up in the character area to get to know your characters better. So here we have a whole bunch. Let's say we're writing a really intense romantasy or something. We can click on Maslow's hierarchy of needs. Maybe we go to that I to look up what it is because maybe we weren't paying attention in Psychology 101. But here it gives you an idea and let's choose it. Okay, now let's go back. This is what you see when you log on. But you see up here on this top, there's your attributes, but it tucks that little template right there. The thing about templates is that they're only for individual scenes because they're meant to help you build this individual scene. And the doorman scene in chapter 8 you don't need to know the psychological needs of the doorman. So you wouldn't need that template for that scene. If we decide to get rid of it, we can click on it and we can remove it. Very easy. But also look at all this cool information you can put in to get to know your scene better. Okay, some of these, by the way, templates like goal, motivation, and conflict, they're templates. They only go to each scene, but I like to use them for every scene. So you know what I do to get around that? I simply go to attributes and I add goal, motivation, and conflict. And then it will always be there for every single scene. And that's how I get around that. You can also delete it. It's so intuitive, right? It's super easy. Okay, so let's get out of this and let's move on to outline. Outline is really simple. It's simply like a English paper version of all your scene cards. It's a great thing to do when you're done writing it and you want to see, are there any plot holes? Is there any mistakes? You see, look at this. I have a whole bunch of scene cards that I started out with Lives Happily Ever After that I never deleted. So like that tells me, and I can go in and edit it and change it or whatever. Or I might find that there's a mistake. Even if I correct it here, it will correct it on the timeline automatically. So this is really cool for figuring out the holes in your plot. You see here the search button, that's on the timeline too. Let me show you it on timeline because it's easier there. If I go into timeline and I say soup, everything else goes away but the scenes that have soup in it. And that's how I can find my scenes really easily. Notes is where your research goes. It looks very intuitive, and it would be very intuitive. So you probably can guess if you want a new note, you can use that black plus. But you also have the option of just going up and clicking new right here. Why not? Either way works. So let's look at the left-hand side though. I want to show you this. Do you see where it says research I need to do later and pre-writing research in 1904? These are called categories. You can think of this as a filing cabinet. So research I need to do later, what goes in that file? Wolf behavior under stress. So when I come time to do my research, I open it up, I see wolf behavior under stress. I know I have to do more research on it. 1904, this is my research on Eiffel Tower, Taj Mahal, Barcelona, Spain, which by the way is where I am right now. So I live here. Okay, Barcelona, Spain. Looks like it's going to be some time traveling pigs. Interesting plot, eh? Okay, so this is an organizational system. All you got to do is go up here to categories and add your category. Okay, just simply add it. Click add. It will be there. And then when you do a new note card and you put in, let's make our time traveling pigs. Let's take their time traveling pigs to Hawaii. We can go to category. We can stick it under 1904 because there's our categories. And if we go over here under time traveling pigs 1904, there it is, Hawaii. And of course, we can put all our description. This is all the things that we're researching, all about Hawaii and pigs. Okay? This is cool. You see the word source? That's not on your plotter because I happen to know that's an attribute that actually appears on the card in this case. And let's go up to attributes above notes right here. So our author looks like he added this attribute, source. Why? Because he goes to the library to do his research. And he's going to put here Encyclopedia of Time Traveling Pigs. Okay? And if you open it up, if I go back and open it up again, there it is. And this way he can always know where he got his research from. I use articles a lot. So what I might do is this fact might be different than this fact from a different article. So I could go to this fact, I could click on link, I could paste in the article URL. And then when I click on it later on, even if it's 8 months from now, it will take me to that article where that fact came from. That's really useful. I think you'll find out that's very useful. Up here, oh, and by the way, over here, let's say I decide Hawaii is a terrible idea. All I got to do is delete and it goes away. All right, let's go back in here again. All right, so what is this area here? Well, books, this is a really cool, remember when I told you that early on you want to set up those series placeholders so you can share between your books? Well, this is a great example because you want to share your research often because maybe the wolf is under stress in a few of the books. So here it looks like if you click on this plus, you get all your books here. And it looks like he chose to put this under Three Little Pigs and under Return a Mother Pig. But he didn't do it on the third series book because there's no wolf even in that book. In this case, the character, he added wolf, but I don't really do that because this is your research notes. It doesn't feel as useful, so I don't really use these characters and places here in this way very often. Choose an image. You can choose an image if you want to show a picture of the Taj Mahal, you can. All right, let's close this down. Let's go over to the next one, characters. And as you probably can tell, I didn't lie to you at the beginning. Remember when I said it was going to be very intuitive? They're all the same. So it's going to be easier to learn than you think. Again, we can choose a new character with a plus or use the new button, right? In this case, again, we have categories. They're main, supporting, other, uncharacterized, whatever you want. There's many, many categories here. Within those categories are Pig 3 and the wolf. Under supporting, Pig 1, Pig 2. Let's do a new one. I'm going to call it Pig 300. I'm going to categorize him as, let's do a different category. Let's do victim. Victim. Because then we're going to have bacon. And I like bacon. Okay, now we're talking. What can we do here with this? Well, we're under pig number 3. He's a victim. We could choose a thumbnail. So let's go back to Tom over in our cowboy novel. I might decide Tom is 45 years old. He has a stubble. He has red hair. I can go to Google and I can put those things in, or ChatGPT, whatever you want. And I will get a picture of Tom. And when I like the Tom that I found, I can upload it right here. And then when I'm writing, anytime I want to see what Tom looks like, I can come over to the character area and see Tom right there. Here we have notes. This is where you're going to put all your notes about your character. You're telling everything you know about them, maybe their backstory, whatever. Attributes, that's things you want to ask for every single character card. Before it was every single note card. So this is a lot. It's exactly the same. In this case, he wanted to know about the planet, the type of house, the role, the gender, whatever. That's what he wanted to know. Again, you can go over here to configure and make them whatever you want it to be. Templates, same deal. Templates are get to know individual characters, not every character. In this case, maybe because this is a lead character, we look at character bio. Maybe we want to ask ourselves all these questions to get to know our character. But maybe that doorman that I was telling you about before in chapter 8, I don't want a template for him because I don't need to know his bad habits. It's not even relevant. All of these are super cool. There's even Dungeons and Dragons ones just for fun. There's one of my favorites is Myers-Briggs. You can take Myers-Briggs tests for your character and type them, see what they're like. So play around with these. They're really cool. You can do more than one. Just have as much fun as you want to get to know your character. This is also very important. It only shows up under characters up here at the top. If you click on Three Little Pig, it takes you over to that book. Return a Mother Pig, it takes you to that book. Why is it doing that? Well, it's doing that because in general, when you're writing one book, you often get ideas for characters for another book, right? So you can quickly bop over there and add them in. And there's a bunch of new things here too. Family tree is really cool. If you have any kind of epic family tree that you want to kind of keep organized and remember who people are and where they live, that's really nice. And you know what? The thing about Plottr is they are almost daily adding cool new features to Plottr, which is so cool. And I'm a little behind in it. I actually have to look at this and find out what character list is. It's a brand new one. I need to know it. Okay, places, same dealio. It's looking familiar, right? Same thing with books here. We can say, I want this place card to show up in Three Little Pigs and the Wolf Strikes Back. When I go to project and open it up, I open up that book, it will be there waiting. Same categories and so on. A difference here is they put that attributes right on the page here. So you can see it. Notes, maybe you're writing your notes and then you see this thing here called Google Maps. I use this a lot. So let's say one of my places is, like I said before, the Taj Mahal. I can go to Google Maps and pull up the Taj Mahal in real life and see it in real life today as it is. I can go write Google Maps here, hit link and copy and paste in that link to the Google Maps. Then when I'm writing, all I have to do is click on Google Maps. And when I get to my Taj Mahal scene, I can look at it in real time. And you know, Google Maps, you can look all around, up and down the street. It's really cool. So the last thing, well, not the last thing at the top here is tags. And tags was something, honestly, that I ignored for a really long time because I didn't understand it. And then it's so easy to understand. So I want you guys to understand it. And it's so useful. So tags, you can totally invent whatever tags you want. The author chose by doing categories, their theme, pacing, and emotions. Theme, pacing, and emotions. And then he chose this little black plus to add these particular themes: hard work, laziness, danger, and safety. These particular pacings, slow, medium, and fast, and an emotion of hope. Why? Well, he wanted to track to make sure that he covered all those themes adequately in his story. With slow, medium, and fast, he hasn't written it yet, but he has an idea when he writes the scene card whether it's going to be slow, medium, and fast. And the reason that he did this, I happen to know that every book he submits to an agent, he gets the same comment. This was a lovely story, but it was a little too quiet. Quiet, that dreaded word. What that basically means, probably, is that his pacing is slow a little too often in the story. He needs to liven it up a bit. So in this situation, he wants to use these tags to track all of his scene cards, every single one, and he's going to label it slow, medium, or fast. And in this way, he can see that he is mixing them up and not having too many slow cards. And I'll show you how you're going to see that in a second. Hope, he has a depressing pig. And when that pig scenes are up, he wants to track whether there's hope in it or not. He wants to make sure at least he has some hope in there. Okay. So I wouldn't do too many tags, just the ones that you can remember to be consistent with. Because when you go back to timeline, here's how you add tags. You go into the scene and here's tags. And if I click plus, I get all the same tags. He already did this. He tagged at medium paced the theme of danger and also the theme of safety. He didn't think there was any hope in this scene. It wasn't that pig scene, whatever. So the key here to tags is you have to be really on top of it. Every single scene card you got to tag and be consistent, because then you can use this filter. See filter right here? See where my cursor is? Okay, if we click on filter, it automatically populates with all our characters, all our places, all our tags, our attributes, and I can click on how many medium and fast scenes do I have? I can do more than one. And I look here and everything else goes away. And I see, wow, I started out pretty well. I've got medium and fast in the beginning. There's some action, but lo and behold, I forgot because these ones are all slow. All right. You see how that could be very useful? Go in and you can do anything you want. You can see how many scenes have pig number 2 in it. And how many scenes take place in this stick house. Whatever you want. It's super useful. Okay, let's look at the second line here. Large, medium, and small is just simply what you're looking at large right now, because that's generally what most of us are in when we're writing out our scene cards. But medium allows you to see the whole thing at once. And if you hover over any of these, it tells you what's inside it. So you don't even have to go in. And this is great view for the overview. Maybe small is good for like when you're in revision mode, because let's say, for example, I decide pig number 3 is my main pig, my big honcho pig. But if I look at this, I'm seeing those little yellow dots. I got them in the setup beat. I got them in the debate beat. I got them in the midpoint. And then I think I kind of forgot about pig number 3. So that tells me, okay, I should probably add him right here and right here. It gives you a lot of clues. Most of the time, you'll be in large view. This just allows you to move around real fast. It's not a very big demo, so it doesn't do as much. And then all the way over here on the right side, next to structure, we have this little arrow dude. So let's click on it. You'll see MS Word and Scrivener pulls up, but we want to go to advanced because we want to choose whatever we want if we do. I never do this. Maybe you will do this though. I want to say unclick everything but pig number 2 plot line. And then I have a choice, Scrivener, MS Word. I write in MS Word. Let me go over there. I'm declick everything but pig number 2. And then if I click on this orange, it will take that little card and send it over there. Now it's easier to put into Scrivener than into Microsoft Word. It can be, but it can be pretty cool. I just haven't done it as often. I don't really need to because most of the time I just enjoy having my Plottr up in one tab and my writing software in the other. So I can just go back and forth. I will. So I don't really need to do this. Now I know some people feel like they need to back up their work doing it this way, but you don't because Plottr backs up all the time for you. It backs up every single time you log on for the day. It backs up every single time when you log off for the day. Why? Because I don't know, let's say you decide you don't need a scene card and you delete it. And then an hour later, you're like, oh my gosh, I did need it. And I know why. Well, you can get it back very easily. You can go to a backup and put it back right back where it was. So backups are great. And they're never going to allow you to lose anything very much at all, except within the last few minutes or whatever. It's a great backup to make you feel more secure about your having access to your plot no matter what. All right, last thing, and then we'll take questions. So start putting your questions in. This right here, 3 little pigs, that tells us we're in that book, obviously. But if we click on it, we can move, of course, between any book. So if we get an idea, we can go over there real fast. But I want you to pay attention to the first one, 3 Little Pigs series view. This you don't have to do, but this is a story Bible of sorts. In this situation, our author put the main series plot line. Why? Because there's a 3-book series in this situation, but he wanted to track the beats overall, overarching beats for all 3 books together, which is different than the beats that are going to be in each individual book. So that way he can make sure that his overarching beats also make sense. It's a really great way to pull everything together and make it connected. The second line, he put this book. This is his book, 3 Pigs. The only reason he put it here like this is because it tells him that in the setup and catalyst beat overarching in the theory, that book will come out. And when he gets to the debate book, the debate beat, the Return of Mother Pig will come out. Looks like he also added a template. He could also go in and duplicate the entire scene cards for any book and move them over here so we could see the scene cards for every single book. So it's just something cool to know that you can keep organized that way as well. I always go back to the regular 3 Little Pigs at the end though. And again, it goes to default because I'm playing with it so much, you won't be playing with it this much. but I just can select staffed and it goes right back. So this way, next time I go log on, it will come to this page and not that series Bible page. Which doesn't matter if it does. It's just that one time it did that and I freaked out because I thought I lost all my SIM cards. I didn't need that freak out moment. It took me a hot second to figure out what had happened. All right. I think that's pretty much it for did I give you enough stuff? Am I like overwhelming your brain? Okay, so let's get rid of this and let's see what questions you have, okay? All right. So, can acts be sections for nonfiction? Yeah, you can change it. You can go in, hover over it, hit edit, and change it to any section you want. There's a lot of information on YouTube about using Plottr for nonfiction. A lot of our staff actually do it, and it's really cool. There's a lot of cool tips. I think there's probably been a class or two on that as well. You might look into that and see. I don't have the full list of templates you have. Well, you don't have the ones that I did. The ones that I did at the top because they're mine. But you should have the same ones that I do. So, because I never did anything to my Plottr. So if you don't, then what I would suggest you do is reach out to customer service, and what they can do is throw you a Zoom link, get on and look at your Plottr and see what's going on there. That's true for all of you guys. If you ever have a question that can't be answered any normal way, reach out to customer service. They're fantastic. They're real people. They're not chat boxes, bots. Oh, thank God. And they get back to you right away, and they really will help you out. Is there plotline for autobiography or memoir? It's not that there's a plot line. It's you get to decide what your plot line is. So maybe you want to do your own character arc for your own autobiography or memoir, right? Maybe another plot line might be I don't know, what would be plot lines for autobiography and memoir? It's just it's maximum flexibility. So you probably know the answer to that more than me even, because I don't write memoirs. You can use them for anything that you want to track. You don't have to use mine. For templates on your project screen, click on File in the menu and select Create from Template. It's another way of doing it. So you can open up a timeline and you can simply choose your template there. But what he's referring to is that you also, at the very beginning dashboard I showed you, is Create New, and then right next to it was Create from Template. And you can click on that and it will allow you to pick your template there and start that way too. But they really have the same thing. It's not, one is not better than the other. It's just a different way of doing it. Okay. Oh, so Catherine's sharing how to write a memoir. There's an article from plottr.com. That's cool. I would write my own memoir, except I can't remember anything. Like my life is just a big bunch of blank holes. So it would be like my memoir, and you'd open it up and it would be one of those blank journals you buy at the store. I don't think anybody would read it. My books are usually 10 to 12 chapters. Do I set up my template for 12 and then just delete chapters 11, 12 when I'm not going to use? Yeah. Yeah. You just simply delete the ones that you don't want. And you just go in, when you hover over it, the delete pulls up and you just can delete it. No problem. It's good if you are a plotter to have your starting point and ending spot, and then go back and complete bullet points that go in between. Yeah, there's a million ways to do this. You're just seeing some of the cool things that people do, but yeah, there's so many cool things to do. Character bio, yeah, really important. My pro version is not stacking the acts and chapters like your demo. Is mine an older version? Can I get updated? Well, you can go to plottr.com and open up your settings, and it will often say right there, you need to update it. I don't know that it's automatic. There might be a setting for automatic, but I don't know. But if you go there, you will see immediately if you need to update it or not. Can you discuss a little about the writing schedule tracker? The writing schedule tracker. I don't know what that means, Catherine. Can you give me a little more information, what you mean by that? While she's doing that, I'm going to tell you some other ways to get your questions answered. You might want to join the Facebook Plottr page. People are on there all day long and in different parts of the world. So for example, I'm in Barcelona. So when I'm working, it's 2 a.m. your time. So if you're working at 2 a.m., guess what? You're going to maybe see me on there working if I'm working. And then you can put your question up. There's also so many smart people on that thing. You can get your questions right away that way at all times of the day and night. You might also go to plottr.com, lots of articles and videos, or YouTube is fantastic. I think there's like 600 videos, some done by staff, some done by just regular people who use it, of the cool ideas they do. And you can learn a lot from there. Like if you go in and put, how do I customize a template? You'll get a video. It's under productivity. Why do I not know about this? Is this a new thing? There's always new things. I can hardly stay on top of them. I'm not in the community template group. I don't know this. Honestly, I've never heard of it. But for sure, I'm going to make a note of this. I'm going to take a photo right now and find out because it sounds really cool. All right, so this would be something where you could go to the Facebook Plottr page and just ask, or call up customer service and they could tell you too. I don't know. But I want to know. So I'm going to look into that. Okay, well, I think I got them all. Hopefully I did. If you come up with more questions, remember, you can get them answered in other ways. So that's good. I want to thank you all so much for joining my class today. I hope that you don't wait too long to review this class and to start applying these things. Again, go get a demo so you can actually move scene cards around and stuff that aren't your own, so you can play it to your heart's content and not worry about it messing up what you've done. Just dig right in. And there's always like new things being added to Plottr. So what I really always recommend for people to do is to sign up for the newsletter. Some of you probably already are. That may have been how you found out about my class. But the newsletter is where often we have new products. In fact, we're having a new one come up in probably the next week or two. And it's really cool. It's a free feature. I can't talk about it because it hasn't been approved yet. But like that's going to be right away in the newsletter and you will see it first. Thank you so much. Thank you, everybody. A special thank you to Tom and Catherine for volunteering to be in our cowboy novel. I wish you all the best of luck with your writing. Go write, go dive right into Plottr and get busy. Take care and have a great rest of your day. Bye-bye.